Well, I hope you're ready for your close up today because our guest is an accomplished portrait photographer. He's photographed many celebrities with a creative approach that separates him from all other photographers. Please welcome Myles Pettengill to Fashionado TV. Hey, Myles. Hello. How
Hi,
are you,
Vincent.
sir?
Thank you. Wonderful to be here. I'm well today. Thank you. How are you?
So you're an LA-based photographer, but you're also
Yep.
keeping a residence now in North Carolina. Is that right?
Indeed, yeah. I've been based in Los Angeles for 15 years, but I'm trying something completely new in a wonderful place called the Penland School of Craft in the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina. My partner is a resident artist here, Ellie Richards. She's a resident artist in wood and sculpture. And so, yeah, I've switched gears, but I've built myself a studio on the East Coast as well. And, got a Toyota Tacoma to fit right in and mobile over here now. To be honest, like when I look back at my body of work, it is essentially, I shoot artists. And this school has no shortage of artists. Typically a lot of my work is photographing, musicians and theatrical actors in Los Angeles. That's sort of my bread and butter. However, I think there's a way that I can make that work also here. And frankly, like the change in climate is so welcome. Like seeing the mist run through the mountains, like that doesn't exist. There's no water in the air in Los Angeles. So I'm really enjoying that change of pace for sure.
Let's discuss your aesthetic approach. That is something that I found so interesting and so unique in some of your portraits. And if you could really talk to us, not just about your personal approach, but I think one of the things that students are trying to learn, trying to accomplish, achieve, it could take years, whether you're in film or video, photography, fashion, culinary, what is your style? What is your approach? And you clearly have a vision. I can look at your work and know it's yours. So if you could address all of that.
That's the highest of accomplishment, and I really appreciate you saying that because it's sort of what I've tried. I think it's what any photographer tries to do, is to create a body of work where someone might say, "Oh, that looks like an original Myles Pettengill. That looks like an Irving Penn." We knew what photos were his. Avant-garde. We all, I think, aspire to having that sort of coherence. So anyway, I appreciate you saying that, and I think it's a constant education to maintain that. I think one of the things that that sort of keeps my work coherent is a focus on like beautiful light. I studied light. My grad school was in photo assisting. I got very lucky to assist many masters, many of whom were out of New York but would shoot a lot in LA. And so I studied how they lit, and I studied how you could make somebody look their best. And whether it's a beauty dish or an octabank or kino flows, like lighting is so important to me. And then photographer, of course, because that's the nature of the discipline. But people in particular, there's a certain type of light I think that you need to do. And the other thing that really I think keeps my work together is I shoot through a lot of translucent materials, including glass and plastics. And I try to use materials that have optical clarity and color washes, and I really like to embrace reflections in my work, physical reflections. And so, anything that you see that looks like, oh, maybe that was composited, maybe that was multiple exposures, it wasn't. It's just some material that I use in front of the lens. And for me,
So,
it helps give it like a feel. It helps give almost like a filmic, back in the darkroom days, like having something feel more tangible as opposed to digital, which I do almost exclusively shoot as digital. But I add things in front of the lens to try and give it some heart.
so let me ask you then, how do you maintain your creative freedom, specifically with editorial assignments? I mean, I'm looking right now. I mean, you've got, Jake and Maggie Gyllenhaal. You've photographed John Legend. I mean, you've got a lot of celebrities. You've got a lot of commercial jobs. But still, I can tell. Like there was this one picture I just saw of Jack Black. It was clearly your image. It had your touch. So
Thank you.
it would really help. Oh, you're welcome. It would really help our viewer um, to know, how do you do that? How do you, stay true to yourself and still comply with editorial assignments? Or do you get
Yeah,
hired because people see your work and that's what they want?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that actually it's in editorial assignments that I experience the most freedom. Commercial work is far more constrained for obvious reasons. But editorially, I've been lucky to work with some photo editors and magazine editors who basically just trust me to go and do something. So, recently I got the assignment to photograph Jermaine Fowler. He is in the new Coming to America. He's a comedian. He's so talented. And they called me up and said, shoot Jermaine Fowler. I'm like, all right. And so I was like, what do I want to do? I like horses and I know where I like to ride them in LA. So I rented 2 horses and we went up into the mountains and got really lucky with the light, which was planned too. But yeah, no equipment, just me and him, no makeup, no hair, no wardrobe. It was during COVID. We were masked up until we were out there on the horses and separate. And,
Yeah.
so I had a lot of freedom in that assignment. And I think that I'm lucky to have some relationships with some editors that know me well enough to say, okay, he's going to take this person and put them underwater in a dark pool. And we're going to have some incredible images of this person, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm lucky to have
So,
that
so
trust, and I think trust is like a really important part of the whole thing. Um, that trust trickles down from an editor to a photographer and through to the subject. And one of the ways that I try to keep the subject engaged is like I welcome accidents, I welcome stumbles, literal and physical and metaphysical. If we mess up, like that's part of humanity. Good music incorporates, missteps and learns and builds on them. I like to do that. That's how I like to approach people in a portrait session.
but Miles, you just said that you're lucky to have that trust, but you're being modest. You've worked for that trust. You've earned that trust. So if we can take it back before that trust um, had been created. So I'm thinking about our viewers that, well, when are they going to call me? Who's they? And
Right.
when do I get to that point? So can you talk a little bit about your career path? How did you get to where you are now, where you are photographing these big names, you are getting these editorial and commercial assignments?
It does not happen overnight. I think that's one of the most important things to impart to anyone getting into it. It reminds me, like I thought when I photographed John Legend, which was a few years back at this point, I thought, okay, this is going to be the assignment that like takes me over onto a new level. And that's just not how it works. That's an additional, marker of success, but you have to do it, each shoot, each client, each opportunity builds on the next one. But it's not like there's a windfall moment in my mind. So anyway, when I started out, I worked as a photo researcher first in college at a magazine, and I met a magazine editor that I still work really closely with today. So I think the takeaway there is like, cherish your relationships and know that that person that you're, interning with, that person that you're working in a restaurant with, could be somebody that brings you significant work long down the future. These opportunities eventually can come from anywhere. But I think, the most important thing is show work. I show work that I'm proud of. So as you'll notice, like on my website, I don't have a ton of commercial work because I find that commercial work is so like isolated in its significance to that client. So I prefer to focus on the work that I've created editorially that has a broader significance, I think. I don't know if I answered your question properly there, but I think that it's important to remember that it's a constant build, and I'm in my mid-30s now, and I've got a body of work that I feel good about, but I also am constantly trying to achieve more and additional, great images.
Yeah. No, you answered the question. I often ask that question of our guests because I always get a different response because everyone has a different story. And as long as a little part of that story resonates with our viewers, you've answered the question. So, we began our conversation today talking about how you're living between LA and Penland, North Carolina. So looking towards the future for you, I don't know how much time you're spending in between, the East Coast and the West Coast, but what are you excited about? Where do you see yourself creatively over the next, the next year or two, especially with the influence
Absolutely.
of this new geography?
Yeah, so I definitely hope to maintain my relationship with Los Angeles. I still have my place. I still have a studio out there, and I still have clients that I work with all the time. And I want to make sure that relationship stays alive. So in the past year, I've gone back, I think 5 or 6 times for shoots. So Penland is like it's a new locale that is definitely encouraging me to like think outside some boxes that I've been in. I'm living. For example, last night, I finished some responsibilities and it was 5:30 and the sun was setting and it was so beautiful and the clouds were rolling through the sky. So I went and photographed clouds for a series that I plan on printing large, maybe 40 by 60 sort of size. I made some work that I'm really proud of. And it was, shooting through some materials that, like I said, kind of thicken the images to me in my mind. I wish I could live share one of those photos right now, but I'm still processing them. But I'll shoot you one of those, Vincent, just to let you know that I wasn't,
No, we believe you, Myles.
To circle back on some new opportunities here, the commercial work isn't necessarily up in these mountains. There are some nearby cities that I look forward to creating relationships in. Richmond, Atlanta, Charlotte. I do look forward to kind of opening up into those markets. But I think personal work in this mountain landscape that I'm in, this idyllic paradise, frankly. I think, also like the difference in climate between here and LA is like something I'm really embracing. So I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I thank you. I just explored, I've been to Charlotte quite a bit. I just explored Atlanta for the first time. I'm in love with this city. And I also do think, like, I mean, I've worked with Netflix. I would love to be working with Amazon out there. I'd love to be working with Hulu out there. I'd love to be with Apple out there. They're all on productions in Atlanta right now. A cousin of mine is in movies, and he's about to be filming there. So I'm definitely going to come back to visit him and hopefully have a set visit. But yeah, I really do look forward to opening up those doors in Atlanta in particular. And then Richmond also has some incredible ad agencies. The Martin agency is in Richmond. I've worked with them quite a bit. So I look forward to keeping that relationship alive.
Yeah. Well, Myles, this is exciting. Let us know if you're coming through Atlanta. All right.
Absolutely, and I will indeed.
Myles, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real treat chatting with you.
Likewise, Vincent. Thank you so much.